So I've written a bunch of notes and I've watched all the historical past webinars and tutorials, but I'm still struggling to come up with the content for this video. So I'm going to try to riff based on what I've written here. And today's topic of the video is called self-awareness. It's a word that I feel I have abused a lot because I keep saying that it's very important to have self-awareness, which is true. I still feel so because I think I'm somewhat self-aware. I know what my strengths are. I know what my weaknesses are. I know what I like. I know what I don't like. I know where I want to go. I acknowledge my mistakes. But knowing those things and acting upon those things is two very different things. This is where I find that having a coach or being a coach will self-awareness, you see. Being a coach will give a very incisive approach to using self-awareness to a coach's advantage. I don't want to confuse you with all these technical coaching jargons, so I'm going to just give you this quote. Self-awareness is the key to self-mastery. A coach's role is to help a coachee be aware of what has always been hidden. The 4 steps that I really like that I think most of us can use in our daily lives, and I've seen myself do this in my coaching, fitness coaching career, is you gotta first define the problem. With my fitness clients, they define the problem that they find it really hard to stick to a proper diet, and because of that, they can't lose weight. That's step 1, right? Define. So step 2 becomes explore. To explore why that is. So I'll ask questions like, why do you think it's so hard to stick to your diet? When do you go off the diet? When do you actually fail your diet in a day? So breakfast, lunch, or dinner? How do you feel though when you aren't able to control your lunch? What do you usually have for lunch? How do you usually feel when you go into lunch? Are you very hungry? Are you very stressed? And that might trigger an aha moment, right? They say, yeah, I've done before lunch, right? I always have my meeting with my staff, and it's a lot of pressure because I find it really hard to communicate with them, and I feel like they don't listen to me. And that could be an aha moment. I feel as coach is an aha moment, and they might not feel it. And one example I've written here that I really like, and it's an example that I will kind of steal and use, is to use in these words somewhat. Can I share with you what I'm noticing? Because I notice that you usually feel like you can't control your meals whenever you have a very stressed out moment before lunch. Am I right to say that? And when you go to stage 3, after exploring, then we help the coachee discover. And discover basically means we help them figure out what the potential solutions may be. So say if the guy is really stressed out by having meetings with his colleagues and staff, and that is something we got to fix. It's not so much trying to figure out the best lunch for them to eat during lunch to help them lose weight. So ask them, why is it that you find it hard to communicate with your staff? Why is it that you didn't think they listen to you? What's the project that you guys are working with? Is there anyone else that can help you with it? What other ways can you communicate with them? In stage 3, we discover what other ways are there to really work around the problem. And these are all reasons why I think self-awareness may not be the be-all and all, as what I've used to believe. Because you can define it, you can explore it, you can discover it, you can reach every single thing and figuring out what the problem is and what the solution is. But having that aha moment is not enough without being able to commit to it. So stage 4, step 4 is committing to it. It's the most painful part. It's like setting a deadline for a client, right? Like having a deadline during college where we ask them, so when are you going to do this? So what's the first step you're going to do immediately? So when can we expect to see you perform necessary steps? It's quite weird to feel that, hey, we as adults, we should really have these kind of things really ingrained in us for having gone through 10, 15, or even 20 years of education for some. But committing to doing something really is the differentiating step between being self-aware and achieving something. Which brings me to my next quote. And this is a quote that Mel, my coach in the program, came up with. Awareness precedes choice. Choice precedes commitment. Commitment precedes courage. courage precedes change, and change precedes achievement. There is no achievement without first awareness and having gone through the steps of choice, commitment, courage, and change. So those are the 4 steps of making use of self-awareness to your advantage, making use of self-awareness to really guide you going forward. And one last quote I want to share before I end this video is that you gotta be a role model. You gotta role model what you will do every day, because Bradley, you cannot be a good coach if you don't role model the will do's in your life. And I think one of the reasons why I've always been quite doubtful of my capacity to be a good coach is because certain days where you aren't doing anything, it's kind of day where you feel like just lie down and do nothing, right? Are those days that you, or at least I, don't have the self-confidence to go about getting things done? As a coach, as a person that's supposed to be able to guide someone, if I am not able to sort my own life out, even if the coachee really trusts me to take up that role of being a coach, there's a lot of internal guilt, that something that I need to deal with if I don't take the steps to achieving my own to-dos and my own will-dos and committing to the things that I should do to change. I feel in order to be a good coach, you have to first be a doer yourself. You have to be able to coach yourself or get a coach to coach you through some of the hardships that you have. And this is a recurring theme, and I suppose everyone has a different takeaway from this course, but for me, it is very much this. It's very much the idea that in order for me to be an effective coach, I have to be an effective coachee in a way. I hope you learned a thing or two. I feel like I'm talking in a very broken up manner today. It's because this is actually take 2, successful take 2, which is rare because I usually take a lot of takes to get more warmed up. Alright, as usual, I'll leave all the definition in the description below, so check those out if you want a more formal and less messy explanation of all this. Ciao.